BPM, the podcast. Pastor the DJ wakhona saphi nesabuya nami ne.
Kumafa bavuma namhlanje kodwa siyaqhwalela mos.
Yeah, akekho namhlanje your coach, but yeah, as long as basibabini ayikho ingxaki sakho.
Kasisuthu bathi musithi utswela phili.
Le episode yanamhlanje njengesiqhelo sisoloko sinondwendwe namhlanje tala. Athol Trollip, by the way, before do not forget to subscribe as well as we like in the page there. To remind us, we have always one episode. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Athol Trollip.
Yabulela mafa kumandu balapha namhlanje ndiyayithanda iattitude yakhe yandiphakamisa.
Nkosi tata sifuna lonto le yapha sifuna abantu bakhululeke tata because eyona nto sifuna uqaqambisa ingakumba abantu bephondo lethu leMpuma Koloni abasenzela igama kwingalo ngengalo ezahlukeneyo. Yeah.
Anongakhululeki ndisekhaya apha kweliphondo lethu so nalapha eBhayi bilikhaya lam kodwa ndisekhaya.
Masisiqala apho indaba yokhula kwakho walapha eMpuma Koloni.
Ndakhulela eBedford eNyarha idolophana encinci i-neighbours ayi Adelaide neCraddock. In fact, I farmed between Bedford and Craddock. Ndakhulela efama okhokho bam or 1820 settlers. So I was the 6th generation ozalelwe kulaa fama. So ndiyaziva ba ndingumntu walapha ephondweni and anifani nawe asifani kodwa sidaliwe singabantu sonke kodwa even though I'm a settler I have no family overseas. I've never visited a family member overseas. My family is all South African and I'm deeply in love with this province and my family have spent 202 years in this province, so it's a long time, and I feel deeply rooted. And when you invited me to come to this program, I come by for negendize. Ndiyaxolisa ba besingakwazi uqhagamshela ngalamaxesha kodwa silapha namhlanje.
Ukuvela ukuthi it was worth the wait wena phasa. And basiphonda kokho every time besithi bathi akafumane kuthatha uTrolip leli sizamlinda kodwa samfumana.
Wait. So khulele efam phakathi eBedford eNyarha 6th generation kuthi qada enye into you're talking I don't mhlawumbe kumele ndayiveza phakathi but before ndikiba ifamily yakho ina 200 and something years nila 202 years and people always say but abamhlophe mabahambe baphindele Europe and whatnot now when are we 6th generation awunazo nezizalwane ezibheshe. What's your feeling on that? Because I'm not sure about it.
It's a difficult thing because ilizwe lethu siqhubene 8 national languages, 11 official languages. Some people look like I do, white. Some people look like Mafa, black. Some people look like you, half black, half white. And then
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and then you meet South Africans who are was misel bangumxhosa.
Yeah.
Kodwa xa Panda ubone ba hayi naye ikhona igazi lesettler phakathi kusapho. So once you start mixing races and you start becoming one nation, then who decides whether you are truly South African or truly African or not. And I just think that the world is a global village and people travel now. It's easy to travel, it's easy to make livings in different countries and siyaxubana even more. And then what do you do when you draw a line and say, Africa yabantu bamnyama, okanye Africa yabantu ba brown, okanye Africa ayingo umhlaba webilungu. Then you become a real problem. I think what makes South Africa an extraordinary place is it's a melting pot. It's the sump of Africa. It's also the springboard into Africa. And we have this incredible diverse nation that makes the world interested in us, umongameli wase-England wamkele bani for the first official visit. President was South Africa. Why? Because we strategically placed globally. I think politically we're always a very curious country. And amekho mamanye mazwe bayijongile Africa and bajonge kakhulu kwi-South Africa. So masiyimisele ngaloo nto. Yazi i-World Cup iyadlalwa ngoku ne. Ndikhumbula 2010 mna ngoku besiyi-host. Abantu bebesigxeka bebesithi hayi khona i-plan B bazawuya e-Australia nase-New Zealand. And what happened? We hosted the best World Cup ever. The stadium were completed on time with a much maligned South African workforce. Siyakhenga abantu bethu ngezandla bethu and abantu bebemangalisa balityhini hayi bayenzile. Siyakwazi? Noba siyagxekwa. The worst thing yabantu baseMzantsi Afrika siyasigxeka thina. We have a low self-esteem. We break ourselves down. When the rest of the world are very interested in what happens on this continent, and we are the focal point of the continent. And we must never forget that. Because while we are toba istima sakho, abanye nabo bazawuqonda abanastima. So we should be very proud about what we've achieved in this country. Yes, I mean, there are extraordinary challenges. And that's actually why I'm back in politics. I'm sorry to go there, but I'm a farmer actually. Ndingumfama. Yiyo into endikholwe ngayo. Kodwa ndangena kwi-politics ngoba ndinomdla kakhulu ndinothando weluphondo. And ndemka kwi-DA after 38 years ngezizathu zam asizoxoxa namhlanje. Okay, that's fine, but andinamsebenzi kakhulu apha kodwa I'll never forget ndadibana noMashaba wathi kum Trollip khawuze man uzoncedisa silungise ilizwe lethu nekakhulu eliphondo lakho. Saxoxa. Emva kwe-4 hours ndathi kuye ayabona ke mhlekazi, I wish you luck. Lento yenzayo ibalulekile kodwa mna I've had enough. Wandijonga wathi have you done enough? Wangathi wankhabe esuswini because ndiphila kweliphondo elidlaka-dlaka. Abantu baphangeli oomasipala bethu bayawa and then umntu uthi I've had enough njani. So I'm back in politics because he challenged me. He said, have you done enough?
And kudala ke tata u-challenge even kwi-politics alapha e-State Cape. Kwangela xesha lomama uNosimo bala indlela. Igama likaTata uTrolip lasoloko njalo ebashukumisa abantu abasesikhundleni. Ipolitiki yakho iqale nini tata?
Yo, I remember in 1980, utatam ebezigqatsa for the provincial council in Albany, which was Grahamstown. And bendisesikolweni ngelo xesha kodwa bendiyokhankasa ndiyokhupha pamphlets ndimnceda. That was my first taste of a campaign. And nangoku ndisuka eTakastad phezolo ngoba ndikwi-by-election. So my life's been involved with elections and by-elections since 1980. But ndonyulwa kuqala, and I was involved in student politics, but I was elected for the first time in 1995. Dalilungu le uMuspala wase-Athol district municipality. And yes, there was an extraordinary experience there. There were only 2 DP representatives, both white, and the rest of Athol council was black. And Athol isuke Monti, Alice, Fort Beaufort, Adelaide, Bedford, Ingenasema, Queenstown, just before Queenstown, Stutterham, Cathcart. And ngelo xesha 1995 abantu bebenyulwe ngelo xesha bebephuma kwi-exile. Iinkokeli zenkululeko ye-ANC, umzabalazo. So I was involved with some amazing people. And ngoku xa usodolophu wase-Athol ebemisa i-exco yakhe, bandiko-optile. I was the only white person on an ANC executive. Ngoba bebeyazi ba hey, asinolwazi ngale nto yorhulumente masize naye uTrolip ngoba unolwazi ye-farming ntontoni. Sabonisana, sasebenzana kamandi for 4 years. And that's why I'm a bit disappointed with politics in South Africa and in the Eastern Cape in particular. Because ngelo xesha for those 4 years, abantu bebezimisele ba they have the very best intentions, ukulungisa elizwe, to fix the past and to have a better future, and they were happy to work together, and those were really happy years. And then ndonyulwa kwindlu yowiso-mthetho ngo-1999. 99, yeah. Hey, ufika kwam phaa ndabona ba nantsi confrontation iyaqala endingayibonanga phaa eMathol. And what that confrontation came about was because as the ANC started to being exposed for, you know, they say the road to hell is paved with good intention. But they started making mistakes and and then I discovered arrogance and confrontation. And then when you challenged it, people got more defensive. And then I spent 10 years there, Singobana, Sibeta Indugo, Apemoyen. And then I went to Parliament, 2009. And I was the leader of the opposition there, sitting opposite Jacob Zuma. Hey, ndakomba ayikho lento yenzeka ngoba abantu bebesilwa okoko. Fortunately ndem kaphambi kwafika aba babomvu ngoba hayi ke beke kwaphuncuka pha eParliament, yazi ne-decorum yaphuma ngomnyango, abantu bebengena eParliament benxiba i-overall ne-hard hats and bebebethana bebebetha amanqindi phofu nalapha apha kule bhayi izimanga endizibone apha. Omnye ulungisa wabetha omnye ugxa wam ngejagi entloko engaka igcwele ngamanzi, ambetha aqhekeza apha yatsitsa igazi langena kwi-handbag yomnye umama eyi-scribe kamunicipal. Itsitse igazi langena kwi-handbag ndanamasikizi nyanyana.
Wawukhona wena at the time? Yayiqalele
bendikhona ndihleli phaya.
Yayiqalele
Iikomityi neeglasi zijulwa ngaba kwecala olungisa aba bekuqhekeka iglasi and then kwakhala isithonga enye ngethamsanqa phofu. But I thought that was the low point in my political career, that you have to fire a firearm in a council chamber to bring some sanity. Ukhala kwasesa sithonga bekucacile ba bebekhona abantu pha beqhela ubaleka isithonga. And that council chamber emptied, and then some sanity came. But you know, that was a real low point. And abantu bethu ne kweliphondo bafuna politicians baxoxe, babe mature, bazame uza nentsombululo kwezingxaki zabo, hayi ukushayana ngeglass nejug nenkomityi and then kukhale isitonga ebhungeni. Ayikho into enjalo. So really we actually need to pull ourselves together as politicians. We have to pull ourselves together because siluhlazo.
And Pastor Nojogile lapha awukabikho zinzo nangoku Nelson Mandela mhlawumbe isenza apho into le awukabikho zinzo kwenye inyanga ke tshintsha kuphetha omnye uyamkhupha omnye lento kwathini and njengomuntu ke wakhokela apha kwi-Nelson Mandela Bay ibisa njani okanye yinto owayibonayo ukuthi kuba akho ndizawuphinda ilunga apha kwi-Nelson Mandela Bay?
Iyawulunga nelizwe lethu lawulunga. You know, sometimes you've got to hit rock bottom before you realize about aces and like enough. You know, today I was reading the newspaper. Abanye uceba bafuneka bayohlalisa kwezinye indawo ngoba boyika uhlala kule ndawo emakhayeni ngoba abantu bayabahohisa otshisa imizi. You know, then councillors and MPLs and MPs must ask themselves, kutheni abantu bafuna usitshisa? Kutheni bafuna usigqaya ngamatye? It's because we have disappointed them. They expect better. Sizinkokheli. Funeke sizibambe ngelo hlobo. Which brings me to the other point, that the political parties must also take responsibility. Abo bantu babanyulayo ukuya kwibhunga kwindlu yowisomthetho nasepala, please khawuncede manikhetha abantu banembeko, abantu banesidima ngoba zikhona indlavina ezingafanelanga zihlale kwezaa ndawo. So we really need to change the way we look at everything. We've got huge problems in this country. It's not about ourselves. It's about aba bangaphangeliyo, abantu bahluphekileyo, abantu bahlala bengenankonzo, abantu bengenamanzi, indlela ezingahambeki, the list goes on. Imfundo yethu ekekeleyo, the list goes on. So we must stop being so concerned about what we earn, what cars we drive. Siye kuzizidla thina siyoyenzela lento besifanele siyenzile.
But le list uyibalayo uthetha ngayo, ubala indlela, ubala izikolo, ubala imbano ngekhoyo, ubala vandalism, abantu badestroy into zikamasipala ezikhoyo apha. But I want to focus on skills within umasipala, because most of these people are voted for kwi-ward meetings. Ukuze baphele bebazi councillors ubuthotile uthi nazi zethu councillors, nazi zethu candidates njalo njalo. Indaba ye training ibaluleke kangakanani now when it comes to the failure ye service delivery, because ihlazo elikhoyo ufumaniswa into yoba kubanzima no-constructor kwa sentence yesingesi, and yet this person speaks kakhulu emeetingini mhlawumbe ngovotelwa ngabantu kube litshana inhliziyo phaa
bethetha thina sathi ngoluwa asifuna
but xa esiza apha ke ngoku kuvele ezazimilo uthetha ngazo skills ezingekhoyo in public management, even asekhendlisheni imali kamasipala, project management njalo njalo. Where do you think the main problem is apho masipala abakhakelanga abantu bakuthi bafeyisha khona?
Well, first, let me just say that I've met politicians with no formal education or skills that have been brilliant politicians.
Yes.
So you don't have to be qualified to be a good politician. You've got to have a heart, you've got to care, and those are, and so that's fine. But when it comes to service delivery, you need engineers to fix water problems. If you don't have engineers in your municipality, you are not going to be able to deal with infrastructure problems. And in this municipality, there's a shortage of engineers because
Yeah.
now that's a problem. And Nochurmente or ANC, they've agreed that cadre deployment has failed.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a good point. We're reaching a turning point where people are starting to introspect and say, hey, maybe this is not going to work. But I also want to take it further to everyone that's in this room. And the thing that irritates me the most when I find people, politics, I'm not interested in politics. And then I say to them, that's fine. That's fine. That's your constitutional right not to be interested in politics. But politics is interested in you. Politics will determine who your president is, who your premier is, who your councillor is, how much tax you pay, whether the police will respond when you call them in an emergency, whether an ambulance will fetch you, whether you can go to a state hospital and get better or die, and whether your kid can get a decent education. That's all politics. So into your qala, into endiyicapukela kakhulu apha eMzantsi Afrika, abantu abayifuni ipolitics, bathumela abantu mabayopolitika. And then bothuke xa aba bantu bathumayo politika bengakwazi. Lixesha lifikile uba sithume abantu abanolwazi. We really need to have better politicians, okay? So that's the first thing. And then enye into ebalulekileyo apha eMzantsi Afrika endikhuthaza abantu kakhulu yabona nempandla ndimdala ngoku. And uMashaba ngoku ebendicela uba ndizomnceda ndithe kuye hayi ndiza kunikezela, I'll give you another 7 years. But class 7 years, anaxesha to waste time.
Yeah.
Mna mzawuya ngqo emxholweni. South Africans, especially black South Africans, mabayeke ukunyamezela kangaka. Kutheni abantu abahluphekileyo abamnyama isikakhulu kodwa bonke kutheni sikwazi unyamezela kangaka? Kucima umbane every day sinyamezela. Indlela zingahambeki sinyamezela. I-traffic lights azikho sinyamezela. Why? So nyamezela tot nini na? Abantu bantsundu banyamezele incinezelo yamabhulu ye-48 years engaphambili. Ngoku siphantsi korhulumente obhatyazayo angayenzi le nto athembisayo ngezulu nomhlaba kodwa asiboni into asiboni mehluko siyabuyela emva kodwa siyanyamezela. Are we going to wait another 48 years before we wake up and say no, this is not good enough? Ndiyabakhuthaza abantu. If it's not good enough, ayosono ukuthi I want more. I want better for my children. Nam ndifuna uphangela. Nam ndifuna amanzi. Nam ndifuna ukwazi ukucofa edongeni xa ndifuna ubona ebusuku. Ingabi na load shedding. Siyekunyamezela man.
Basoloko besithi abanye bantu ndizawuvotela abanye because rather the devil you know than the devil ongayazi.
Hayi right apho kodwa elo xesha ligqithile. In 2021 53% yabantu ababhalisileyo banelungelo ukuvota sebevotile khange bavote. In 2021 more than half of the electorate did not vote. Loo nto uthetha ukuthi lo rhulumente ophetheyo ngoku is a majority of a minority. And la 53%, it's not a bad problem. That's 20 million South Africans that did not vote. The bad problem is there are 10 million South Africans that are not registered, but who are eligible to vote. Those people won't register, not easily. Kodwa la 20 million, they are a bit like they're in the wilderness. Bayayazi ba ikanana ipi. Kodwa basalahleka. You know, when the Israelites left Egypt, Canaan was just a short while away, but they took 40 years in the desert. Bejigeleza, belahleka. Those people are just in the wilderness. They're just looking for an alternative to say, La elaqela okanye lambutho katata notata omkhulu nokhoko andisakwazi unyamezela ndizawusika inqaba yam ndihambe ndiye komnye nam ndashiya i-DA emva kwe-38 years lixesha elide ngoba ndiphelelwe ngubomi kwi-DA. I always regard myself as a conviction politician, not a career politician. I didn't come to politics to get rich. I didn't get rich. I'm a conviction politician. And when my conviction snapped in the DA, I left. Umusi Maimane was the first black leader of the DA. Abantu bebemtyhala, abe elita, and then aba bebemtyhala, bamtsala, bamkhupha. And because for my 38 years bendithengisa umbutho wethu ndisithi ngumbutho nenkathalo wabantu bonke sifuna ukwakha umbutho. When I left the DA, I started as the chairperson in the DA. We had 30 councillors. When I left, we had over 360 councillors. In every municipality, there was a councillor. Nase Transkei, nase Ciskei. Besikula singumbuto emkela wonke umuntu, and then all of a sudden, hi, he's not good enough. Magahambe. Abuye uZille. Abuye uSteenhuisen. And then in the next election, my money lost 1.3%. In the same election, Cyril Ramaphosa lost 5.5%. Abantu bebemthanda ngela xesha. Yakhumbula? It was Ramaphoria. 2019, yeah, bebezimisele ngoRamaphosa. Kuzawulunga. He went back 5.5%. In that same election, my money went back 1.3. Bamkhupha. Yensikanga bamkhupha uCyril. Kodwa iDA mkhuphile. And then in the next election, 2021, Apepai, the 10% that we grew when I became mayor, Steenhuisen and Zille lost it. 10% overnight. They lost 360 councillors across the country. 8 municipalities in the Western Cape. I made the right decision. I want to be in a political organization, whether you're black, colored, or white. If you do well, so kabelizai. If you do wrong, so kupa nobong ban.
Kulento ithethayo tata mhlawumbe abanye abantu besaqinile nje behleli kulo mbutho ulawulayo, abanye lanto baloyal embuthweni balombutho wasikhulula. Abanye bayayicinga kwakhona abantu no man, ANC seyine experience elulawuleni, andithembanga umbutho othile, if ndivotela iDA sizabuyela emva kwinto yeapartheid. Abanye banesifears ezinjalo man, EFF intsha iyafika, Action SA no ayina experience nento. So eza doubts zilelo hlobo ucinga ezinye ezenza abantu kuba kubenzima aqonda ukuthi noske ngavoti bhetele.
Kunjalo kodwa, you know, there are 1,600 political parties in South Africa. If I'd asked you that question, I bet you wouldn't have come close. 1,600 registered parties. There are probably only about 30 that get elected, okay? And then there are probably about 5 serious role players. So abantu are experimenting with democracy. I mean, democracy is only started in 1994. Yeah, so we're still experimenting, even in coalitions. Yeah, people are saying coalitions. No, you can't say that. I was a mayor in a coalition here. In 1 year, we went from being the second worst metro in the country to the second best in 1 year in a coalition. They can work. But yes, they are unstable. And I'm not lagging alone because we are still experimenting and we're practicing. We can't be practicing in 2024. Then, sibone ba sawukazi na funeka siyazi kuba ngoku banolbeka nge sisamatch. Sibone ba siyakwazi ngalona hey lona asikwazi siyazi ba ufika ngo-2024 basithe abantu baseMzantsi Afrika babafuna nyani umehluko utshintsho. And there's a change in government, which is really the measure of democracy. If there's a change in government, you can't be falling around then and saying, hey, who am I going to ask? Who am I going to... So let us experiment and see what's going on, sort the wheat from the chaff, see who you can trust, who you can't trust, that's fine. So I just want to say something. You mentioned the word loyalty. I was loyal to my party for 38 years. For me to leave was traumatic, but it was a principled decision for me. And when I got to a point to go to Ndiamba, and let me put it into a context, for whatever reason, ill health or death or being removed by a review panel or whatever, the chairperson of the party becomes the leader of the party. So when Musi Maimane was forced out, I could have become the leader of the party. So it wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. I left because I lost my conviction. And I didn't know what I was going to do the next day. Okay, I really didn't know what. And I made a controversial comment. And it came out of my mouth at the time, and some people said it was controversial. I've thought about it. At that press conference, I said, "Dinekhala ngoba andiyazi banzawuthini ngomso kodwa ndiyaziva bandiyazikhulula namhlanje. Andiyazi nizawuthini ngomso ngoba yayibona le hairstyle yam and ndimhlophe kuzaba nzima ukufumana umsebenzi." And then other people said, "Hey, why uTrolip ucingela umsebenzi wakhe and kubulungu bakhe ntonto." But it was a fact. I had a family, I had to put bread on the table. I didn't know what I was going to do. Like millions of other South Africans. Ibili khala lam. Not about color or whatever. Ibili khala lam ba ngomso ndizawuthini na. And you know what? The sun came up the next day and it went down the next night. And in 2 years, I started a business and it was flourishing. And I ended up helping some black citrus growers in Moshwanase, Buffalo, that were growing citrus. And after 1 year with those guys, their production increased by 30%. I was able to open doors with the land bank and the government to sort out their debt. And politics. But I just want to illustrate loyalty in politics. If you want loyalty in politics, ambos tatelinja. Because I'm telling you, no bayepi. Because in politics, loyalty is earned. When it's no longer earned, and people don't trust the government, and people are always wondering why there's never any money. You know, tell me, in the last 10 years, tell me, which senior politician went to jail? Jacob Zuma for 2 days or 3 days. Okay? That was Ibi Nsinile. I ask you, people that have stolen millions, who's William Kize? Digital Vibes, 150 million. Yes. Where's Katamo? Who's about president? Who's Michelle? Who's about Mongomeli? We're ANC. And Upumulela Kwakan go December, he'll be the president of South Africa. In Denza Masigi's land.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. If you weren't a politician, what would you be doing? Obviously farming?
Yeah, listen, I enjoyed those 2 years where I wasn't farming per se. I was running a small non-profit company providing administrative support, technical support, human relations support for those farmers, and also getting service providers to provide technical backup.
Okay.
So I really love that. I don't think I'll ever go back to being a full-time farmer because, you know, once you leave something, it's difficult to go back because you'll always be thinking, I came from a beautiful farm and I loved it. I always had it in my blood. My son didn't really want to farm, which is one of the reasons why we sold our farm. Because if farming is not in your blood, and uyawulamba. Funeka ibe kuwe and funeka ube naso nesiphiwo. Ukuba ngumfama. Whether we are lima, nobo yafuya, whatever, you've got to have it in you. One thing I do know is that I've said to Mashaba 7 years. I'll give him 7 years. So by then I'll be 66. I'll never stop working. I like working. I'm what do you call it, ADD or whatever. I can't sit down. So I'll find something to do. Maybe I'll hire a piece of ground and have some livestock. I love that. A horse to ride and that kind of thing. But I'm not going to rest until this province is moving towards achieving its full potential. You know what really troubles me? I see you had Ubuilakaya Talinjebo here the other day. You know what really troubles me? Former Transkei nesiskai gumhlabo tyeble. Kodwa konde qhubekayo pha. I-projects ziyavuka ziwe. There's no technical support. The one thing about the previous government, and I'm anti-tetelele because I know I have a history in being in opposition to apartheid.
The previous government being
National Party. No, National Party.
Oh, okay.
National Party.
Because
Zakiwa NNP and NNP, but I'm talking about South Africa, not there. I'm coming back there.
Okay.
What the National Party did, they built the Trollip Dam. Tatamanze Pumele Sutu. But Tata Lamanz Bawafaki Fish River. The Fish River, it's like a Garden of Eden now, but before it wasn't because it had water, had no water. Now it's permanently got water because of the Trollip Dam. Nati Epai, Sisalamanzing, Naya Trollip, Gobaman's way to sip Dale Pelile, if it wasn't for that water. So they had the foresight to build infrastructure to make land productive in the Fish River. And they put their people, but it is Afrikaans, they put them on small pieces of land and they provided technical support. They had an incredible extension service to make them successful. And those that weren't successful on their little piece of land sold it to their neighbor. And the neighbor, we are Kubek, uthenga enye farm lo mntu omkayo oyithengileyo aye edolophini ephethe something esandleni ngoku abantu babaleka ilali basiyo sapho bazapha emabhayi naseKapa nase-St Francis Bay napina bafike pha bephethe checkers bengenanto bahlala phi ematyotyombeni kwindawo ezingenamkonzo and life there is terrible. Their social fabric is dislocated, their families are dislocated. They live in a place where there's absolutely no dignity. It's like a twilight zone. Zonke idolophu zalapha eMzantsi Afrika zinazo indawo ezinjalo. eMonti Duncan village, lihlazo landawo. So people run away from potentially productive land and leave their families to come and live in abject misery in cities. And that is a failure. Because there's something wrong there. And uMabuyane, Premier Mabuyane 2 weeks back admitted, he said the ANC government has let the rural people down. Okay, so that's a start. I respect him for saying that. Yes. That's a start. To say, okay, we've made a mess. How are we going to fix it? It's something wrong there. So we really need to refocus and get our province productive. Asnami Koti, sine tourism, sine Mbali, ekebleyo kakhulu. You know, Grahamstown, Klegas. Emakanda. Imakanda, ibifanele ibe Stellenbosch, yase Eastern Cape. And there, you know what? They've got, in Natal, they've got battlegrounds. People from all over the world go and look at the battlegrounds with the Zulus and the Brits. In Balialap, 100 years of frontier wars. Oh, Makanda Abba, the town is named after Makanda. Nobody comes, nobody cares. We've only got agriculture, tourism, ulwandle, and natural wildlife. That's what we have, like no other province. But you know what? We don't exploit it.
Yeah. Talking about exploiting, there was an article about the human rights abuses at your farm, which is something that you totally denied. Please shed some light on that for us. Because what we read, say, I believe, but not until they sugem doing while on the leg.
Well, let me just tell you that, you know, if you're in politics, so, you know, I've become accustomed to that.
Yeah.
But that was the worst thing in my whole life. Because I know who I am. Now, Danes cholo ukuthi haben baphethe out human rights abuses and ton. And then Damangalo go Human Rights Commission. And it was just before 2016. Yakhumbula ngela xesha bendizmisele bazawuphumelela siphathe bengumeya. Abanye bathi AtholTrolip. Ababuye soza bengumeya. Well, uyesu akakabuyi. kodwa bendingumeya and ndingumkholo mna ndimlindile ngamandla kodwa ndiyayazi akabuyi kodwa I do know that I was the mayor. So bebebona ba hayi kunzinyana apha eBhayi masokhangela into bayoyiphanda phaya. And I'll never forget that, so the Human Rights Commission did an investigation and they found that there was no substance to it. And a journalist came to me and told me that he was there when the ANC was facilitating these interviews with my former staff. And umphathiswa we-Department of Social Development bengena kulomzi ephetha i-grocer bethembisa aba bantu bazawufumana la mhlaba kaTrolip. Qha uzuthi usifake isicholo, ne? So that's fun. And then bebe babini omnye uLawrence Truan noNight Mali ngabo bebegibsela kakhulu ngamanke ngalento. Dathi okay, that's fine. For the first time in my life I went to the High Court. I charged them for defamation of character. uTruan waxolisa uMali wafumana wanetyala and there was a finding against him 500,000. Usayibaleka nangoku kodwa ndamfumana zange ayibhatale uthi uhluphekile kodwa ndiyambona ndiyamjonga ngoku ndiyabona uyaphangela ngenye imini ndizamkhulula ndizawuthi nalityala lakho. So let me just tell you something. I was vindicated by the courts, but apha kum entliziyweni I know that on our farm my grandfather was the first farmer in the Bedford district to build proper staff housing and a school on that farm for his staff. Proper. You can go to that farm today and you can see where my staff lived. I know that I educated many kids. In Tokestad, I'm at a by-election today, a young lady came up to me and said, "Kuwe Mr. Trollip wase Takapur ndati ewe. Wathi umama mu Jeanette no tata mu Sipho bebesebenza pha ndizakuvotela." Yeah, in Motherwell the other day we launched a branch, children of people that lived on that farm. They came, they signed up membership. They are happy to support me because they know bebe pilenjani phaya. So I'm telling you, politics imtaka. Kodwa, I have a conscience, and my conscience is clear. And aba bebesiv gibsela ngalo matya mtaka. Ngabo aba fumene ityala abagwetyiwe. Basalbaleka ityala labo kodwa ndizamfumana. I don't want his money. Kodwa ndifuna ave umali. Notroni yena uthi hayi ndixolisile ngoba bendingenamali ze i-lawyers uTrolip utyewe. Hayi mna bendineloya enye bona bebefike pha Rory Reader noTron aba bahamba nabantu bayi-5. Ndibabonile.
Bebhatalelwa ngubani loo magqwetha xa besilabana?
Jonga mhlekazi nali hlazo. Apha eMzantsi Afrika ukhongolose akakwazi ukubamkelisa abasebenzi babo. Siyayazi loo nto. Siyibona qho eTV-ni. Kodwa isoloko ikhona imali emdaka isebhutini yemoto. Naba abantu bagwetywa ngoku aba kupha apho manyathi nabanye banesa sigwetye bese 100,000 bayisanda uyifumana kunqakula naba bantu. The court case is happening now. Nala mali igcinwa phansi kwesofa ephalaphala ivelaphi isoloko ikhona imali emdaka engachazwanga kodwa xa ufuna kwamkelisa abantu bakho baphangelelayo ba-loyal kuwe ayikho. That's a question. You ask a great question. Okay, it's interesting because la Dagabur yintaba enyukayo eyohlula iBedford neKraddock and it's like a line you can see where the Karoo starts. Now, ifama yasekhaya name was Mount Prospect, but it's on Dagabur's neck.
Okay.
Now, the legend is, in the late 1800s, the local population, black and Khoisan population, would greet the farmers of the time and say, Dagboer.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
Dagboer. It's got nothing to... Yeah, Molumlu. So no one can say, baby, chalinsango, come on. No, paya ku yinga, ne posis, ne mika, kufuyo imfuyo. Akwazi utyala pha, konto ityalayo. Umhlaba awuvumi. So it's got nothing to do with it, Daga.
So Dagboer. And Koma Daga?
Hey, I'm not sure about Komadacha, but yes, lama kama wethu iGqeberha, iKariga, iTsitsikama, Mkanduli. I am mix of Muslim Agama, and they come from Khoi background and Xhosa and Amampondo and English and Afrikaans, and then Akube again, then Ungayaz ba Velap. Yaz Umzekelo Monti. There's a place in Monti is Nahun. It's not Nahun, it's Nahun. Yeah. And Kunubi. Ayo Kunubi, Kunube. It's strawberry. Yeah. Because that's where they plant strawberries, grow beautifully there. So ayo Kunubi. Ikunube. Ikunube, ibe Kunubi. Komcha. Komcha, ayo kundenjal. Komka. Komka. Yeah.
I think people must have Habula come to well Balagoda. We are yes, course. I don't know that. And Kuna Mayor, so there was a deputy about we were about quitting. Hey, Macama, we ought to look about quitting. We ought to try to about quitting.
Eyo kala bendi take uwe mos ndakulela nabantu bebephila kula farm.
Yeah.
Mna ndakhula nabafana inkwenkwe. Besidlala kunye sizingela imphila sitya intaka yonke into ngoku xa baye ebhomeni i-friends am zawuthini ndingayi bendiyohlala phaya azogame yokuqala ndiye ebhomeni ndilapha kodwa nantsi enye into madoda funeke siyithethile apha oonyana bethu bayabhubha apha boluka lihlazo elo so something has to be done. For years I sat in the legislature kwindlu yowiso-mthetho baze nomthetho about ukwaluko funeke ube neleta usuka kumzali ba ungazibeli uye pha all of that thing kodwa basabhubha njengempukane phofu over 100 basabhubha ngoku ngoDisemba so aba bathi ayifuni mlungu ayifuni mama ayifuni ngoba abazali babanyana ngumama ngutata ngumlungu ongumeya mhlawumbi one day zoba ngumlungu ongupresident. It's their responsibility. Masilungise phuncukile amasiko aphuncukile abantu bayamosha. Who's going to fix it? Everybody responsible must fix it. And you know, one of the things abakwetha they die because of dehydration. Bendiyokhangela kwezi zikolo ba I know the kukamasiko water abstraction for so many days, or then there must be water. When you kangela ba zikona inkonzo payana. Abantu bayaya ba things. Hey, bendiye pha botuka. Nazi imoto zibaleka. Imoto ziphethe ntoni? Utywala. Basutywala kwaba khwetha basanda ukoluka bengakwazi nodibana namanzi kodwa dibana notywala. Somebody must do something about it. Otherwise, we must just turn a blind eye. Yeah. Yeah.
Aina kala phakathi. Africa washiya your nemesis uBobani. I got too many months. Bakala nakala unasebenza kunye deputy yakho. Yeah. Waphasala ngaphi? Yaqhawuka phi le?
Yo, you know, I wasn't in council before I became mayor. Remember? So I had history about uBobani, a very difficult character, and a guy called Chippy Olver wrote a book about how to steal a city. Remember? And he pointed indirectly to uBobani. There was people that would sell that if there was a problem and that would make the problem go away for you in council, they charge you 30,000. So they're called Mr. 30,000 in the book. And when we were putting the coalition together, and Yakumbula and Dakonda, hey, Lomfo was a baingak. Bebene seats as imbid. Cope in a seat enye, ACDP in a seat enye. Tina Besna 57. That's Nika 61. Gogutan Khalapansana Bondichi, Kubo Bobani, ebe demand abeng deputy mayor. That okay, fine. And then Wati and Difuna department ka health. That I couldn't enjoy. Deputy Mayor, Omnians on Fagago Health. What you know? Otherwise, we are hump. Savuma. And then that was in about August. Got December. Get that 10, 15 ka December. Wafika kumi office in. Wati, Kalelo city manager, Makapata, Lelomfo, umsizi, I think umsizi, iqwetha makambhatale i-1 million. Ndathi i-million yantoni leyo. Bathi 10% ye-deal ebeyenzileyo. Ndathi hayi, we're not a real estate agency apha. Asebenzi nge-commission apha. Sebenza nge-contract. And noba ikhona indaba kutheni uMetla engavumi. So mna anandaba zamali. Ndamfowunela uMetla wathi hayi ikho into enjalo. Ndamxelela ubobani. Ndathi no, akazobhatala lo mfo. Yo waphambana la mfo. And from that day, waphuncuka completely. And yindaba ende. But I went to Cape Town 5 times. Meeting with the DA leadership and with Holomisa. 5 times. I wrote uNjengele 21 letters. Ebengafuna uva. And the last meeting I had with him in Pretoria, I said, ndiyayazi kutheni umkhusela ubobani. Ngoba nombutho wakho utyile kule mali. Yo wajika. Nobuso wajika. And from that day, wathi uTrolip ngubhas, uTrolip is racist. But we've been together for like 20 years. From the legislature to parliament, sevenza nakauke. Wajika from that day. Wakaka. Ndaqomba, okay, fine. Ne-DA bengafuni ukungena because we had a coalition agreement. No blue lights, no this, no that, and Bobani broke every one of the agreements. Ndathi kubo, okay, banifuni nina, mna ndizamgxotha as i-MMC ka-health, because that was my authority. Ndamkhupha pha. Ndiyazi uba umkhupha kwam uzawuvota with the ANC and the EFF and bazamkhupha ekugqibeleni. They tried 6 times, bengakwazi, until one day the real nemesis was uVictor Manyati, wasonga engalo, xa sivotayo. So asikhutshwanga yi-EFF esithi bazawusika umqalo omlungu, cut the throat of whiteness. Bebezama bebengakwazi nobobani ne-ANC. Ngumanyathi osonge ingalo. Baphumelela, bandikhupha nogxabam sakhutshwa phaya. And then 2 days later abanye babini, uTrevor Lowe noHiggins, khange baye counselling, so i-ANC ne-EFF yane iskulu baqhubeka. So let history record that the people who got us out were 3 of our own people. And years later, they got caught for taking 100,000 rand. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the tip of the iceberg. Akekho musumntu ozawusacrifice sacrifice 3 years of salary for 100,000. The councillor gets about 50,000. So that's 2 months. Nobody's going to give it. I know, I've heard, and it'll come out. Manyati was given 1 million rand. The next day was Tengeli Motors in Bini, wafuli business yakho aqhubeka. Ngoku uhambe kangwesihlangu sakhe. Pelile la mali. So the point here is that years later, 3 years later, those guys that were involved, they've now been caught for taking 100,000. It's like the Great Train robbery. You remember? They got away scot-free, the greatest robbery on earth. They made movies about it. One day, a guy made a careless transaction, I think 15 years later, and somebody picked up the transaction and said, "Fella blimaling banlomt, bam bam."
So zizawuvela.
With
time. There was another campaign, Sake Science, a few years ago. I think it was supporting an organization, Yabantu Bahamba nge-wheelchairs, about disabled. And I tried that. I was the one who was on the wheelchair. What was for a day? Yeah, it was for a day. Yeah, I cheated sometimes.
Hey, listen, I was the mayor. Yeah, we went there, and I was the mayor. We were very supportive of them. We gave them, I forget the guy's name, but he was an incredible guy. And I didn't spend a day, but I spent a few hours.
Yeah,
hey, no, but I said to them, look, I can't. But now, like 2 hours, emva kwe 2 minutes, bendiziva banda ndifuna explode ngoku. So abantu bakhubezekileyo kunzima apha kweliphondo. Imagine in the city it's bad because the ramps, or there aren't ramps and there aren't. But umntu okhubezekileyo elalini uziyazi awukhasa ngamadolo. Ngoba there's no way. So disability is a big issue here in this country. I learned a lot from that guy. I just can't think of his name, but he was an amazing guy and he was able-bodied.
Yeah, but, I forget the name. I forget the name because they approached us as the breakfast team to take part. Gamliwala now. Yeah. Short guy.
Yeah, but he had a real woolly hair. Yeah.
Gamliwala Jekra. Your family life. You're quite a private person when it comes to family.
Hey man, you know, politics is bad for families. I can just tell you right now. So I'm in a new party now, and I'm already telling people, you know. So let me put it in a context for you. So first of all, when you're an activist and you're a politician, you do it voluntarily, and you do it for free. So somewhere somebody's going to bear the burden. So your family bears the burden, because you've got to say, hey, this weekend I must go to Itinacha, Sauloncha, so right from the beginning, your involvement in politics takes family sacrifice. I can't even imagine what it means to go into exile into a foreign country and raise children in another country for 20 years. I can't imagine that. So I've never been through that kind of trauma. But what I did experience was that sacrifice in the beginning. I remember I was sent to East London to work in the Transkei in 1998. I rented a place in East London, took my family there, and I traveled in the Transkei every day. I was away all week. Come back on a Sunday, and then and I hadn't even been elected, so I wasn't earning anything. So that's that kind of sacrifice, but nobody, it's voluntary. So it's voluntary. We have nigezel, as a sacrifice. But where it gets really difficult is when, if you get elected to parliament, for example. I had a colleague, Venterstad. Venterstad is there at the Charib Dam. It's about 5 hours. So it's about 3.5 hours here, Bloemfontein. So lo mama, and she's a mother now. She's a wife of a farmer. She's raising kids. When she started as a councillor, desk. And then later she became a member of parliament. And then she would have to leave on a Sunday, drive to Bloemfontein, wait for Monday morning to catch a flight, because there's no Sunday flight from Bloem to Cape Town. Monday, fly to Cape Town, go to Parliament, spend the week there, away with their family at home. Then Friday, fly to Joburg, because there's no direct flight to Bloemfontein. Then wait, to Bloem, and then Friday afternoon, often
drive another 3 hours. To
Friday afternoon, very often thunderstorms. Iplane ingahambi okanye ingatwela ngeBloemfontein bayithi hayi yeke akhwela ngomso ahambe 3.5 hours afike ekhaya. Ufika kwakhe ekhaya funeka aye kwi-constituency yakhe. Because if she doesn't go to her constituency, next time bazamkhupha. So family life, it destroys family life. 2 homes, you're away all week, then weekends you've got to do constituency, and it's tough, It's tough. But you get paid for it, and as I say, you do it voluntarily, but politics has destroyed many families. Many families.
You've been married how many times? Once or twice?
I've been married twice. My first marriage, I was married for 27 years. And my first wife, we were best friends. 27 years is a long time. There's no hard feelings. I think she just got tired of living alone. She got tired of living alone. And she actually said to me, she said, I married a farmer and not a politician. So my second wife, I've been with her now for 10 years. I met her when I was in the middle of a campaign. So she's got and even today, let me tell you my experience. Even today, I got home at 11 o'clock last night. I got up at 5 this morning, and I left at 7:30 to come here. And I had to have organized the lawn to be cut. My wife said, no, she'll mow the lawn. I said, no, I don't want you to mow the lawn. And she said to me, I knew that when you went back into politics, I'm going to have to make sacrifices. So it is tough on families. I'm not talking for me. It's tough on families of politicians.
Abantwana bangapi kwayithini into yabo into abayithathe kuwe mhlawumbe political banomdla bona kwezonto.
I thought my kids would never be involved in politics. I really thought, my kids grew up, I wasn't, never there for sports days and speech days and everything, but I love my kids. My son's got very strong political convictions. I don't think he'll ever be a politician, but he is very strong convictions. He's 34 years old. He lives in Cape Town. He's got 2 children, 6 years old and just 2.5 years old. He's involved in wealth management, finances, and my daughter is a CA. She's 32 years old. She currently lives in Amsterdam. She works for Deloitte there. She's got no family. And my wife has got, my second wife, she's a widow. She has 2 sons. They're in between my kids.
Okay.
And the elder son's got 2 kids and the younger son's got 1 kid. So we're blessed with 5 grandchildren. And yeah, we're a very happy family. We've come together nicely as 2 separate families. And I'm blessed. I really am blessed.
2024 is just around the corner. We're blessed. Because we tell on 11, we are 11, ebusuku 5 uyaphinda we're approaching with December. Is there ever a downtime for Onocom? With December, I'm switching off my phone, I'm using a different SIM card. But there will definitely be downtime. I have learned, you learn lessons the older you get. Yeah.
I did tell Herman Mashaba that I'm not going to neglect my family. So from about the 16th of December, I will take time off until the 2nd of January. And you know, the one thing about politics, phone is and it's very invasive. And my family find that difficult because even when I am with them, phone, and I've never turned my phone off. This phone number is exactly the same number that I got when I was elected in 1999 at the legislature. Sang and I change and inazo phone is imbini okanye zintathu okanye zine enye yomfazi enye kakwapheni enye mdaka ndine phone enye nenumber enye.
Uthini ubudlelwano bakho noMusi because abantu abaninzi ungakweli ukuthi iyona nto babeyiceba you're gonna join forces with Musi because of the relationship yenu ukuthi hey uthini ubudlelwano bakho naye wenze yakhe movement ngapho when action is like.
Yeah, well, that was one of the first questions Nambuzo Mashaba when he asked me at the beginning of this year to come and join him. Ndifuna uyazi kutheni wena noMaimane ningasebenzani kunye ngoba wena umke ngenxa yozila ebuya kodwa buxhasa uMaimane wambamba esandleni wathi he's my hero, yakhumbula. And I didn't leave the DA because of Musi. I left the DA because I thought they treated him badly. I don't really know what Musi's doing now with independence, and now he started Bosa. But I was disappointed that Herman and Musi couldn't work together. But maybe ilando abati abantu inkunzi ezimbini ebuhlanteni yeah. So maybe that was that. But you know what? I thought I like Musi. He's a hell of a nice guy. He made some made some mistakes. We all make mistakes. And but you know, a lot of his mistakes could have been prevented if the party had supported him better, I believe.
Still in contact and
Look, I really like Ngaba. I met Ngaba in Parliament.
Yes,
and let me tell you about that. Phaya eParlamente ngoku bendiphaya ibisekhona la convention xa ethetha umongameli iParlamente icwaka. Xa ethetha i-leader ye-opposition iParlamente ibicwaka. Ibikhona inkahlelo. Yeah. And then that changed, okay? And then I remember waphakama lo mfo wathetha iParlamente yacwaka. It was Ngaba. And then years later, we started engaging. We started going on similar, you know, oversight meetings in agriculture and so on. And then Ngaba said to me, AtholTrolip, ndakubona ngo-1999 ndathi ubuphi wena wanti bendiphaya NMMU ngelo xesha. And I was having a debate with Stone Sizani, and Ngaba wabalisa wathi, hey.
Ngaba was a student.
He was a student. He was an SRC president, I think. Wathi debate no Sizani, and you were making sense to me. Bendiziva ndiyanqina. No man, I am lung. And then later, you know, I asked him. I never tried to recruit Ngaba when we were in Parliament, never. But one day when I knew I was going to come and be the mayoral candidate here, I asked Ngaba if I could see him, and he came down from Durban. We met in East London.
Was he still with the ANC at the time?
No, he left Cope. Yeah.
Oh,
so in Parliament,
in
Parliament he was Cope.
Okay.
So he flew from Durban with his Cope, one of his Cope leaders, Graham Mackenzie. He was an MP. They both flew down, and we met in East London. And I said to Ngaba, Ngaba didn't want to leave and go to another party because he'd left ANC and went to COPE, and it was traumatic for him. And then I said to Ngaba, it is our pie. It is our cards and being mayor. And I basically made the same pitch that Herman made to me. I said, come and help me fix PE. He said, yes. And we became very good friends. I like him a lot. And he also took over the leadership of the province from me. And at that conference, it was bad, because the next morning when they were going to announce the leader, Ngaba wasn't there. And we had hard words. We had really hard words. On that Monday morning, I didn't even want to talk to him there. Came back, we had a meeting in the DA offices on the Monday morning, and we had very tough words. And I think Ngaba is one of those amazingly talented politicians, but some of his behavioral things have been problematic for him.
Personal matters.
And it's one of those things, is it because of the politics? Is it because of all the hardship, because of all of his experiences that makes him behave like that? Or does he behave like that makes it, I don't know, which comes first, the chicken or the egg. But Umbuzo Ngaba and I are still friends. I have a hugely soft spot for him. He's got some personal challenges that he'll have to sort out, his problems. But we're still good friends.
Good. This has been another beautiful episode. When you get into interviews, and I'm happy that it was politics. And not just talking about the Action SA, but in politics in general.
I don't think we even spoke about Action SA per se.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Do you want us to?
Maybe again, maybe come and talk about politics on the eve of an election. But I think the concept of bringing people of the Eastern Cape to come and talk about the Eastern Cape or talk about themselves and open up, shine a light on themselves is very good, because, and even your crew that are here, it was nice meeting you guys, and I hope that you enjoyed the interaction, because I definitely believe that we're better together.
Yes.
I am concerned that we are more polarized in South Africa now than ever before. And we have to fix that. It's our own prejudices. Can't allow other people to make us prejudiced. It's our own prejudices. And we must get over it and understand that we are way better together. I'm a farmer, so I have this picture. But that's not how humans live. Humans actually should live together in harmony.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Kwanto_BPM, the podcast. Pastor the DJ, Athol Trollip.
Thank you. Hayi baniphile kaloku isiduka siphiwa kodwa ndingunyawo uzufaka. Ngamazi uthahla ndayeni. Bathi kaloku ndilimpondo ndikhohlakele.
Don't forget to subscribe and like the episode. Until next time.